Hi, everybody. I'm Dorian Kotziopoulos, and I'm just so thrilled to be with you tonight. Welcome to Chapter and Verse. Chapter and Verse is sponsored by the Jamaica Pond Poets. And in the warmer weather, we're in Jamaica Plain, but I'm glad we're on Zoom tonight. We have three fabulous readers tonight. I'm so excited about it. We'll go in alphabetical order. And then at the end, as Susanna mentioned, there's an open mic. So Audrey Henderson's collection Airstream was shortlisted for the Saltire Society First Book Award. She has received awards from the River Styx International Poetry Competition, the Indiana Review Half K Award, the Muriel Craft Bailey Award, and the Philbrook Poetry Award. Her work has appeared in the anthologies New Writing Scotland, Lagagua Poetry Anthology, COVID Winter, and most recently, Coal. Her work appears widely in poetry journals, which include PN Review, Dark Horse, the Frogmore Papers, the Roanoke Review, Tar River Poetry, and the Midwest Quarterly. Her work draws on her experiences growing up in Edinburgh, Scotland. Welcome, Audrey.
But you do have to unmute yourself, Audrey.
Audrey, do you see the red microphone in the bottom left of your screen? You can just click on that, I think.
Yeah, Audrey uses Zoom pretty regularly, so I think there must be some unusual.
Is that
Oh, there
better?
we go. Yes, all set.
Sorry. All righty. Thank you very much. Thank you everyone for organizing it. It's really a great thing to be in a group of people at this time in our world. And the poems I selected tonight, I hope they talk to us, but Grace Paley said there's a long time in me between a poem, me seeing something and writing a poem. So I have a lot of filtering going on. The things I'm reading about took place a while ago, but I hope they have some relevance to our time. I'm just going to plow in. The first section is about Scotland. All right. Last night I remembered how he told me he'd been reading Treasure Island on his phone after the kids fell asleep at the shelter for going on 2 years now. This is the end of industrial mining in Scotland. It's called stone. Was there any reason not to commit the crime, having been born into the punishment? I had to write the poem in the pitch dark because you were in the pitch dark. They closed the mines, they did. There was a line of policemen, a line of miners, an extraordinary photograph. Darkness that is complete rests on your face. The darkness would squeeze the breath out of you. The darkness would enter your mouth. It would reach inside of you. There are no mines here anymore, but the children of miners sit in the dark. You inherited darkness. It was something your cells already knew. The darkness knew you when you took your first breath. And the stones remember. The stones try to tell us what happened. Nothing can thrive there. Even the new houses burn down. You might think the stones would be indifferent to darkness, but they took the sobs of infants into their grain, like a fingerprint, like an impression of ferns and fishes. A shovel still scrapes there when there is no wind at 1 in the morning and 2 in the morning. This is part of the same series. Wind. Inside the wind, I heard the sound of your last breath. We do the work of love and then we leave. The expert totter of your drunken steps. The men you hoisted from the mine sat down to tea. We do the work of love and then we leave. That slant, deniable last glance. The men you hoisted from the mine sat down to tea. Gulls flew above your garden's fallen grass. That slant, deniable last glance. A neighbor washed the steps to spare my wedding dress. Gulls flew above your garden's fallen grass. Inside the wind, I heard the sound of your last breath. Sometimes this sounds like I grew up in the Middle Ages, but the Middle Ages officially ended in Scotland about the mid-70s. So there are kind of horse-drawn carts and things. Milk. 3 pints a day clinked onto the doorstep, a shining metal cap on each one. An adult thumb could press the foil so that the crimped edge released its grip on the rim. Cream, 2 inches thick, a summer's grazing yellow on top. Bluer winter milk came from the turnip crop. Turnips piled up in the corner of the farmyard, skull-sized and atrocious. My grandfather had a plate in his head from Gallipoli, which made a lot of consequences happen. But milk arrived every day in a wheezy, battery-run van, or in town, a horse clopped over cobbles, wearing blinkers so as not to be dismayed. Another Scottish poem, knitting is a thing that people used to do for, all their clothes. So this is a knitting poem. There's a mention of a knitting machine. It's just so you're not surprised by it. Fair Isle. Some afternoons we sat like this in the sun as you knitted the cardigan in moss stitch that made me so proud, a polished child, hair pulled to pain and gathered in a ribbon that would not come out because you made it wet with your own spit. Upstairs, you plied the new machine when it arrived, with pattern cards, a zippering sound for every row of Fair Isle. I rejected that jumper because it wasn't nylon like the jumpers of the girls at school. You never made me another. Is it forgiveness, the light that seeks out memory? And this has a lot of words that are Scottish dialect, but I think in the context you can understand them. There are lots of charity shops in Edinburgh, and one of them is called Heart and Stroke Scotland, which is the title of this poem. Another one's called Dr. Bernardo's. Heart and Stroke. She would go out in a headscarf, plain coat, or poplin mac in the summer to have a donder or a smoolie round the charity shops, Dr. Bernardo's on Dalry Road, Heart and Stroke Scotland, picking her way through the flotsam of other lives, and she would purchase some knick-knack she thought was quite tricky. She had a repertoire of old words like hark, hark at the wind, she would say, as she shuddered for the souls at sea, or thole, meaning to bear. And when she got together with her daughters, they would tisk and say how vexed they were about this or that situation, missing a bus, getting a ladder in their nylons, things that had just managed to go wrong in a contrarian way. The cussedness of nature is what Gail's mom said. She was from Bonnyrigg, mind you, or for the want of a nail, the ship was sunk. Gail's mom's sayings had a sense that things were more likely than not to go awry. Oos was my favorite word of hers. Oh, that oos under the bed. the word filling with a superfluity of dust to spite her. I've come by the thrift habit myself. It's a sort of beachcombing, a need for some buoyant, idle thing. And this end the Scottish section here. Norman McCaig is one of my favorite poets, and I think Seamus Heaney said he means poetry to me. And these are 4 times that I was in the same room with him. And the poem is called 4 Rooms with Norman McCaig. I played viola in a little school orchestra. He introduced us, rising on the balls of his feet. I remembered his headmaster hands lathering air and the side part bounce of his impatient hair. The second time I saw him at the Queen's Hall, an historic gathering of bards. He read a poem about throwing rocks into the sea from the stage, but at the same time from the beach near Arisaig. Then one Saturday in a corner of the Oxford bar, he was sitting alone, for by then he had become Sullivan. Like a crofter, he smoked his cigarette through a crooked finger, an ashy quietness. The last time we were in a room together, I had ordered a used copy of his collected poems. I opened the package, and inside on the title page, shaky blue ink, with warmest wishes, from Norman McCaig. So lightening this up, just because everything is dire, it doesn't mean to say that ordinary annoying things don't happen. And this is a situation with a plumber. The poem's called 24-Hour Plumber. All right. Today, I wait for the plumber who will arrive in the window from 7 to 9. Most likely, the woman on the phone says, she's a real woman and on the phone, so that's good. At 9:30, I call just to check they have the right address. Yes, yes. And the live woman checks they will be there between 1 and 4. I want hot water in my faucets and an oven to bake bread, muffins, and warm water with which to scrub my fingernails. The man plumber says on the phone, this message may be recorded for quality control and that he'll be there between 3 and 5. The power company has hired tree trimmers to snap off branches that definitely won't fall on the power line because they're underneath the power line, and a big tree over the fence will be the one to go. The tree trimmers are making a performance of this activity, snapping twigs, picking them up, and grinding them to sawdust. It's something to watch while waiting for the plumber in the now almost closed 3 to 5 window. I call the live warm-blooded woman to check when there's another window open, a window in which a plumber is waving to me. I say, what am I supposed to do about this? I took a day off work. I lost a day to wait for hot water. She says she'll waive the fee of $110 that it costs just to come and see. I said, I signed up with Angie just to get a definitely arriving plumber. I do apologize. She said this already at 9 o'clock this morning. She's run out of apologizing phrases. I've run out of tired patience. I want to know if I can make dinner while the definite plumber is ripping the kitchen up at 8 p.m. I have no idea whether you thought that was amusing or not because you're all stone silent. Just so weird doing this. Okay, and this is another kind of quirky one. We had the item in your house that nobody really loves and nobody really hates, and it just stays there. It's kind of a crazy print called Carcassonne, which is a print of the medieval city of Carcassonne. Anyway, finally it became a poem. Carcassonne. It is an ordinary day in the year 1490. The right raises a mallet to the barrel bung. A woman offers the babe a breast. Fish are netted, clothes slapped clean on the rock. And the crows, 7 of them, have been startled off the hanged man's corpse for a second. Knights joust below the rampart. Here we go. The visor points straight up. The lance pierces the air as he tips fatally backwards. A royal hunting party has returned. The stag prostrate, its hooves curling in the way as if mid-leap. Such high walls, so many bells pealing on the hour, cast in a foundry. They add earwax of a red-haired boy to the smelter, you know. There's the usual parade of heralds, pardoners, and knaves, the wind personified as a fat-cheeked mermaid, except for the woman in a yellow dress who has mounted the battlements to wrestle an enormous sow over the wall. It is forever in mid-fall, and she's forever in the act of just having released it from her small forearms in bung-bashed, babe-suckled, fish-gutted, crow-pecked, lance-toppled, pig-hurling Carcassonne. How am I doing for time, Dorian? Can you is it do I have a couple of minutes?
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So these are kind of COVID vibey when everything was static and but I'm going to hit you with them anyway. Smoke rises vertically. Just a sec. Even the dry seed husks are silent. There is no sound, meaning the air has stopped, is somewhere else, Situate, Poughkeepsie. Why did it stop moving? Why is the air avoiding us? It left the clouds here, a blank backdrop that looks like they didn't draw the sky yet, or the blue went missing. The cloud, meaning one single ream of it. It's the sort of day when a plane drone makes a difference. I saw my most purposeful friend on a walk looking down at his shoes and not bothering to kick an acorn. The fridge hums in order to be cold. It is full of joylessness. An old turnip, a broken pomegranate in a sandwich bag. It's the Soviet Republic sort of day. We might as well have queued for onions or a lump of suet. Yeah, Soviet suet. That's what kind of day it is. That shade of gray. Okay, let's see. Two more. No, yeah, two more, three more. Requiring wings. This is another COVID-y vibe. This was the zenith, requiring wings. This was the zenith of the day. West wind rent clouds over the hills. The roar of air and leaves, stupefaction of drought-stricken land after rainfall. The grass eager to be green, even in October. Some cars drive by, early afternoon, raw sunlight, all of it laying stunned, like flesh under a ripped-off Band-Aid. I am the soggy flesh, puckered and tender. Does the season change, or does the north just find us again? I had never not known freedom, and what I now know is that freedom contains fancy, a zephyr of thought that passes through the room, skimming our heads on the way, and an important element of fancy is motion. Fancy is going somewhere, contains possibility, chance, delight. The permanent wasps on our storm window buzz briefly. They walk most of the time, sniffing the aluminum, but out of some kind of boredom maybe. They buzz, requiring wings. When you are raised clinging to a drum, a backbone of earth, when your first geology is raised above a panorama, then the wind threatens to detach, the light annihilate. I try to start again, and the lack of air, the lack of the zephyr, the day's bee flower, its scent, well, it isn't there. Okay, I think I'm gonna, all right, one more. This is a long one, longish. Approximate recurrence. Go into town, and there you will see a colt tied to a tree. How often do you act on a hunch, as if commanded, dare to breach the morning, go to the place of the vision of the place? I go, inspect the possible event. A green dream pool, pebbles, shelves of water, and on the shore, yellow flowers, vertical, shooting upward without preliminary leaves. Some children have picked the coltsfoot and put it on a rock platter, a rock table, a fairy meal. 6 weeks ago, this quiet scene was scourged by foot-thick slabs of ice. Pavement-sized chunks rage downwards. Look at the tree recently stranded and stripped bare by rapids above this, now flower. The continuous glassy slip of water over rock is silent, always silent, above breaking turmoil, flung downward into the morning, abreast of air and time, a giant clamor of descent. Flesh is startled into spring light, constricts in alive cold water, then airs dry, socks, the mother of all clothing, cajoled over toes, heels mothering forever. The pebbles glitter, shoals of wavelets ebb outwards from the pool. R.I.P. Dad, someone has written on the rocks in a big, permanent and noticeable way. The fold to the sheep is as the sock to the foot after wet and cold. Am I the mother of my unmothered father's memory, family of unmothered men, all that lack with us in the van, wrapped in a picnic blanket like a hostage? I don't know if I can locate the mystery of what happens here. The new moon, solar eclipse, a yellow flower out from underwater, 2 hydrogen atoms, 1 oxygen. It's roaring and the flower on the same row of the periodic table, and the galaxy is a spiral floating in the blackness of some other substance as foam circulates on top of a non-nothing thing. Motherless father, be at peace. Motherless father, be at peace. Motherless father, be at peace. The rocks glitter, as they did on our spring journeys, wearing just knitted cardigans, snow on the mountains, feet in shoes bought new for Easter. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Audrey. That was a fabulous set of poems.
Well, it's weird. The whole silence thing is absolutely weird, but I'm glad
Well,
you.
oh, and your humorous poems absolutely did come across as funny. But thanks again.
Thank you. And thanks for being here, everyone.
Cate Marvin teaches poetry writing in the Stone Coast MFA program at the University of Southern Maine and is professor of English at the College of Staten Island City University of New York. A former Whiting Award recipient and Guggenheim Fellow, she lives in Scarborough, Maine. Event Horizon, her 4th collection, appeared from Copper Canyon Press in 2022. Welcome, Cate.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be here. I mean, your poems are so Scottish. I lived in Edinburgh for a year during my junior year in college, and I, had like a lot of good poet friends, and I also love Norman McCaig. So it was really wonderful to hear you. Um, I'm going to read pretty much all new work. So some of it might not, it's not like perfect and revised, but I'm hoping that I think you just have to do it every once in a while. So I'm going to open with a poem that is it's kind of about like fear of marriage, right? Um, it's called Onslaught of Circlets. Is a ring not unlike a funnel, a thing through which to pour the finger? Is a wine spill not unlike an angel's fall, leaving a door sticky, leaving a floor sticky even after she's been wiped up? Is a tiger not unlike a cheat at cards, lying in grass beneath a throbbing sun, disinterested in the well-being of anyone? When the hand comes over, crawling like an ant, toward one's own hand, a ring in its mandible, it is not looking for sugar, nor for the carcass of the tomato worm caterpillar, luscious in its glow green garb and wrist soft skin. It moves like a weightless crab across a floor with a diamond in its claws. It moves certain as a century to overtake you with mind-bogglingly complicated plans. Disappearing you, the slick chokehold, the checking account that harbors the numerals that will rule your life. Rolling down the streets like tiny metal tires, the rings are after you, chasing you in a battle amongst themselves, to push their hollows down your ring finger. They roll down the streets like they're heading down drains. They slide by curbs and park cars, oblivious of the food vendors. They grab bouquets of flowers to carry them along as gesture, with no meaning or true intent whatsoever, only an awareness flowers might budge a heart's needle. I'm a better poet than you, one ring said to another. Those two rings rolled into bed, strangling each other with identical scarves, pulling each other down their inexplicably divine centers, calling always forth from the void, I want you, I want you. If you just came a little closer so I could better see you. I'm a circle with no center. I have a writing group right now that's amazing. We give each other prompts, and the prompt was like a ring for that. And it's been good. Um so and like you, I agree that the silence is startling, right? Audrey. So all right. So this is another poem, obviously, and it's about banks. So and it's the title at present is but I don't have an evergreen account anymore, which was, I was constantly getting contacted by this one account, and I was like, I closed my account with you. So anyway, I'm gonna keep an eye on my time here, which is something I rarely do and I need to learn to do. All right. So that's not what I do. What he said. Okay, good. Okay. Hello, someone texts from the ether. Where do you want to meet today? And I say, hey, Angie, I can't believe Bill behaved that way with Denise. Did you hear? And I feel a silence. Then this someone asks, are you Annie? To which I tap, no. I look out the car window. What's your name? It asks. What's yours? I tap back. Tell me yours first, my new friend says. My name is Fuck Off. I'm not stupid. I hit send and block, and another day has begun. Everyone wants a piece of me nowadays, especially all the banks at which I have closed every account I once opened. What is it with banks that attracts employees with terrible pallor, heads weighing heavy and hands cupped, propped up from desktop elbows? Banks, little houses for money, shelters for doldrum dolts who can barely add. I swear the managers can barely refrain from killing themselves just before their morning coffee. But wait, I've overestimated their potential for passion. They are another species. They are fine with staying alive and gray. They believe in Monday. They live for Friday. They stamp things with actual stamps, not their feet. This is where my little horses are housed, my dollars that will carry me on their back all the way to Mexico. This is why I have spent so much at these banks, coming to hate every single teller. Actually, you know what's funny is that that's not, that poem continues, and I now need to find it. I thought I had the right version of it. Maybe I should just leave it at that. But the thing is, I had, I had Ezra Pound come in and Whitman. So, oh well, let me see. Yeah. Oh, okay. I think I have it. I found it. Okay. Um, so let's just pretend we took a little break. Okay. Um, this is why I've spent so much time at so many banks, having lately come to hate every single teller. 3 banks I bank at have at least 4 accounts each. keep on emailing me updates, notices, offering savings, and or alerting me to the fact I am overdrawn. I spent 2 months systematically closing every single one of these accounts down, and never is it over, as Rocky, short for Roxanne, notes, because we need to wait for the check to clear. These banks give away lens polishing cloths, magnets, stickers, lollipops, luring us to house our digits within their troubled systems. No wonder Ezra Pound was so freaked out, I realize. Maybe he had a point. This is what we've come to. I'm agreeing with Ezra Pound. Let's carve wood then, slash the nets, and give it up. I could just imagine Ezra multitasking on his cell phone, direct line to El Salvador, incarcerating who knows who while composing the latest issue of a magazine that bankers will never read. But maybe Whitman steps in and says, "My poems are not for you to carve. And I don't care if you're ready to be friends. I'm blocking you. I'm rooted right here in an always moment. I sleep alone and free, and my cotton waist shirts lift off my chest as I stand up on the deck, body facing wind. I'm drunk. What do these letters mean? Should I keep my money under my pillow? How can I sleep if dollars whisper? Nobody's perfect, right? I'm tired of blame in this miserable American moment. I cry all the time." Okay. Um, this poem is called Door Elegy, and I wrote it last week. Once there lived an idea that neither body nor mind could stand standing behind a door if you stood on the other side without opening it. With elegance, the mind departs a body, once more assured, though never graceful, but less inclined to trip on a curb or need eyes to find in the dark, faint light for evidence of chinks in lamp-lit asphalt or an indoor rug's napped snag on nighttime's bedroom floor. Its animus purposeful now in its attempt to make my face its equivalent. As the body declines, the mind regards streetlights with a remove after years refined and years awry with corporeal demands, impulses surging love's street-lit mania. Might the life close without having ever seen you again, remain forever awake with hope that knock might come? I have no doubt you have never had a thought this complicated. Do you two believe the mind and body are opponents, the body having ignored the mind all the time? Or maybe the mind refused to consider the body's ass seriously. You are only body, hardly a pilot, it might have snarled. Will this life close without our reconciliation? The mind had been, for such a long time, a rudiment, unrefined, lurching at guesses, bad at tests, by its need to be seen terrified, while with ease the body had stalked its way with legs through depths of snowfall, gentle in its stumble against that winter I knew you. Summer, you promised. Bitter? A bit. Disappointed, you forsook the elegance of our dream. While foolish, it mattered. Once you were my heaven. We were never an equation. I lower the blind. There will never be an answer. I trust you've enjoyed the life you've lived with another. Ooh, that's depressing. Okay, so I'm going to just read two more. And this one is called, like these computers, I mean, they're just like the worst. It's like I'm organized here. I really am, I swear. It's like bring that document up, God damn it. Okay. So this is called Ghost Design Through Glass Bottom. Lifted up to trickle the last red drops of a strawberry drink in my new life, I note half hazed, and hearing birds and dogs argue outside, that someone is waking in my new house before me, distorted through the glass's warped bottom. There are horrors here, it is clear, but it is also clear that one abides such horrors chastely enough to make them commonplace. The person above me paces or rolls along the floor on wheels. It is hard to know. Surely they are finding my new sounds new too. We are going to be living here with the building, and that is what we will become used to. I'm actually happy that other people are up when I am up, above me and below, and so I need not remain ashamed for being one of those folks who's in the apartment basement switching out laundry at 3 a.m. Living in a place far away as the woods for maybe 8 years, I forgot what it is to slake my dry throat with a whole lot of vodka drinks that cheer the whole building you live in along. There are night owls here too. They are not speaking, they are doing. It is normal here. It is normal to stay up late. Take it or leave it. Living in a place as far out as the woods was a way things were. I never wanted to live there because I found the shadowy dampness suspect. My house was on a blaze of land, a patch almost, that once swung by along the headlong road where I lived with my ghost. Do they miss me, I wonder? We had some great times together remembering our dead friends and dreams. Maybe that was who just walked through the room. And earlier today, before I left my home on that deranged bend of road, I felt cold because that's what these times demand. And the ghosts know it. Come on in. I would stop, hesitate before I crossed the road I lived on to reach my own mailbox, because one time I fell knee-hard on the asphalt and almost got run down by my own mailbox. Cruel times we are in. Won't you be my brother? And this is the last poem. So I am taking a class right now, and it's been so awesome. I'm working with Adrienne Sue. She's a really excellent poet, and she works in form a lot. And so um, I wrote a villanelle for a class, and this is the last poem I'm going to read. And thank you so much for having me, for inviting me, and thank you so much for listening. Though I agree with Audrey that it is very strange to just be sort of reading into a silence, but it's cool. I'm looking forward to hearing everybody later on too. So this is called Trans Villanelle. It's kinder to consider our exile an adventure or a vacation, though we freeze in line before TSA, sweating prayers they wave us through, too bored or tired to seek the X-rays revelation. You who demand to know when they made this decision, carried careful your body across broken sidewalks, waved off the arm I offered, were bitter stuff, accounts exes vacated. That Trump Tower restaurant where we ate in a high-rise basement while I praised your glittering verse at $100 an hour? Slave? Diamond Prosecco drowns, white as Stephen's imagination. It would have been kinder if you had asked about my situation, as opposed to questioning if it was not an error in behavior, the source of the accident you saw as my child's transition. While we read the menu, you demanded an explanation. You sold your house to move upstate to live with your lover. You may be dead by now. Error everywhere, and discrimination. I think I aged 10 years that afternoon in the subway station. I bristled into any car that opened. Like an open mouth, it gave like a trapdoor hidden on a floor, saved me with its vacancy. I fear a revelation. Is your eye's X-ray my child's execution? Thank you.
Wow, Kate, that was a wonderful reading. I'm so glad I finally got to hear you, and I highly recommend Event Horizon to everyone. And before we move on to Carolyn, I think David would like to make one more announcement.
Yeah, just to say we have plenty of room on the open mic. So if you're interested in reading, just go ahead and put your name in the chat. Thanks.
Okay. Carolyn Oliver is the author of The Alcestis Machine, Acre 2024, and Inside the Storm, I Want to Touch the Tremble, University of Utah Press, 2022. Her third collection, Whale Garden, will be published in 2027 by River Books. She's the author of 3 chapbooks, including Night Ocean, Seven Kitchens Press, 2023. Her poems appear in Poetry Daily, Tri-Quarterly, Ecotone, Copper Nickel, Image, Consequence, and elsewhere. Her work has been supported by the Mass Cultural Council grant and by the Mount Auburn Cemetery's Artist in Residence program. Born in Buffalo and raised in Ohio, she now lives in Massachusetts.
Thank you, Dorian, and thank you, David. And holy mackerel, thank you, Audrey and Kate. It was so exciting to hear you read. Like Kate, I am going to mostly read newer poems. So thanks for coming along and apologies in advance. The Olympics are happening. I happen to love the Olympics. I do not have many sports poems, but I'm going to read one of them. And it's called All the Big Men Are Weeping. Tonight, all the big men are weeping. They are rubbing their eyes like toddlers, worn out from charming their parents' friends. Bashful in their glory, the men, bawling, cover their heads like brides, collapse to the ground, mariners restored to earth. In exultation, the sobbing men lift up their languid children, shields their great hands would never let fall. Spying the year's first clover, a rabbit stretches its body taut, as if prepared for the spit. In the same quivering instant, irony too is suspended, and the big men, crying, embrace, declare their love for each other. Made beneficent by their victory, we grant them this one night. I thought I'd read one kind of wintry poem, and since it is almost Valentine's Day, I thought I'd read a love poem, unaccustomed as I am. And this poem is called The Glass Museum. After the Glass Museum, we wandered back to the coast, edging the big rocks, crackling against summer waves, delighted in their big rocky way, to be ever challenged, ever unchanged, except for the falling away not even our grandchildren will detect. If they come here, to this spit of land the gulls rule, if they come at all, we won't presume. Jostling against that day, another, later, kitted out for New England winter. Shell gravel laced with slush, bleached sun, Arctic wind, mothering curses in parking lots, gas stations, near empty beaches the gull kings had abdicated. Only invisible life studded the shore, and on the far peninsula, a vacant yellow house. You made quick work of the question, I the answer, crying, rainbows of our astonishment splintering the sky. Since then, nothing's changed, and everything too. In the Glass Museum, a vase, seahorse-shaped, upholds the light. Red-leaded cups pine for vanished lips, and once an hour the glass blower winces in the heat. Our sun is 7, almost 8. Xylophonic, the glaciers calve their bergs. Canyons yawn below the ice, decay. To the placid zodiac, we're still breakable, breaking things. Now the sun in that poem is 14. This poem is a little bit newer, and it's called Impasto. And actually, it might be helpful for those of you who are lifelong New Englanders to know that once upon a time, there was a SeaWorld in Ohio. Impasto, at the Fog Museum. Inclined like a diver toward the eddies, I am cataloging possible hereafters of the painting's palette knife. Buried as a grave good? Or claimed by midden heap and kindling basket? Delivered into an archive's sterile clasp, or passed on and on to rust in an old pickle jar as weak sun dusts some attic sill? For surely no hand grips it now to raise the morning field. When, her adamant whispers couched in a tongue I've not troubled to learn, the younger woman tows her companion around my gaze, lifts her long hand, thumbs a swift, firm curve across the impasto, as if wiping jam from the landscape's cheek. No guard spins, no alarm shrills. I do not gasp. But the woman who must translate my stillness as a threat draws her unbeliever out of sight. And I cannot call after her, cannot admit I too have failed to stay my hand. I too have known the need to test by touch, impertinent, imprudent, illicit, no matter, that which the eye postulates as pleasing. Velvet lips, a fresh scab's jagged edge, the immaculate, wet balloon skin of a dolphin gyre ceaselessly scraping through the plein air of Aurora, Ohio. This poem is called Secret Words for Blue. In the Dark Ages, a book once told me, in Europe, there was no expression for blue. Today, I don't believe it. No phrase for this extravagant hue that cushions the quarter moon as parrots surf the billowing heat across the Paseo del Prado, plane tree to peeling plane tree, barking their indiscretions. No name for this sky 1,000 years clearer. Even if, as you chance to look up from your childbed, your flock, your religious war, you were at first confounded, still, in that private instant, you would discover your tongue already shaping a name, as if generations ago, by the right river, on the right morning, outside the right walled city, there was an exchange. Secret words for blue, between gazer and listener, passing almost soundless, as the arrows transit between quiver and flesh. I'm going to change directions now. This poem is called Men in the Night. A glacial beam interrogates our haphazard towels, the banister, the old wood floor. On the stairs, I freeze, waiting to hear a chopper. It's Wednesday, when the faceless men play out their airport war games. Did they mistake? But the light's too still. A child could trace its shapes. The error is mine. Relieved, I melt, creak down to find binoculars, or moon goggles. H called them once. H, abed already. H, by his bones stretching out of boyhood, too wearied to stand an hour by the road for this super blue moon's sake, or for its unpenumbra halo verging toward Saturn, bright dime in a deep well sunk nearly out of sight. As if the moon will wait for him, too, an older man ambles by with a dog, the man's head bent to his phone, his half of some dispute scattershot across the plain of woven night sounds, cricket grind and strummed comb frog chorus, two jets towing their reports north, a mammalish brashness in the woods. Like a boggy note held for heartbreak in the bagpiped ballad H has hummed all summer, high roads and low roads and by Loch Lomond never meeting. Saturn wavers in my hands, falls flat as a man blazes past, neon trumpeting his challenge to the moon at his back, or to the city truck edging down the hill, blinking ginger caution. Always men in the night. Last month, its moon near full, I met a man who read love poems to his wife. I asked about his NASA hat and learned 50 years ago, this man retrieved the men who meant to walk on the moon, could not, and then fell onto the ocean. Like those astronauts, this man and I will never walk on the moon, won't scrub moon dust from our eyes, won't grin at its odd spent gunpowder smell. But H might live to see the surface spattered with landing zones, the regolith scoured for mines. Or perhaps in those days it will be more profitable to make weather on the moon. Zephyrs for the Sea of Tranquility, mist for the Fra Mauro Highlands, draped in thistle, draped in heather, where, in the sudden lunar gloaming, someone will whistle the song H loves without knowing what a loch once was, or caring much. For those then on Earth, the moon will seem a mezzaluna made to chop the sleeping water rough with silver rocking. Tonight, with Saturn asterisk, It drifts beyond our flimsy clouds. Tonight, the slow truck stops. A man leans out, pulls goggles on, hauls down a giant kettle, hissing. Now a shadow, now lit gold, he melts thermoplastic to the road. The night, now being moonless, asks no questions. That is the longest poem that I read. And this next poem, I may have made a tactical error by writing it as all one sentence, which necessitates me reading it extremely rapidly. So thank you for bearing with me. Now comes the morning of 14 birds. We are halted in the middle of the road, my son and I, by birdsong swelling riotous from the dark wood, not demanding to be unpicked and named, for which I need Merlin, the ornithology app, not the bird or the wizard, though I'm sure Merlin, being at least in part a man of his time, when every hamlet's hill had a name in the local Welsh or Cornish or Breton, another in Latin, yet another from the Saxons or the Angles or whomever was longboating about that decade, and then its future present name known only to the sorcerer, who was as comfortable shaping strange sounds as with manipulating skeins of time and space, and hence, in the case of this morning and these particular birds, would no doubt light upon names better than housefinch and house wren, so bland I habitually conflate them into house wrench. Unlike, as I now whisper to my son, grackle, a disagreeable word, but memorable, since it catches the bird's call and maybe something of its wild eye, if not its iridescent stolen from the merfolk. But as my son is gamboling off among fields of his own thoughts, mine return to the deep well I'd been plumbing when the bird song distracted me, viz., how I am utterly unqualified to keep him alive when the advancing calamities send the world back, colloquially speaking, to Merlin's time, though I'm not sure we should be calling it age dark, if of a clear night, one could glance into any of its puddles and discern a jet of stars distinct as the stream of milk sprayed from the Virgin Mary's breast toward St. Bernard in Cano's painting, the Celadon city in the high round window nameless as moonlight sifted through a cloud of spring warblers, at least to the saint agape on his knees before the Madonna and her stern child, while beside me falcon-eyed Merlin, wile-wizened Merlin, learned Merlin who tried to hold his world together by word of mouth sighs, a conjured Galactotrophusa, almost satisfied. But since the name for a mother and a son together is Pieta, always Pieta, I know Merlin has it wrong this time. This next poem is much shorter. It's in my next book. Late summer to a friend. It must have been, because not even beauty, the soft singing meadow flowers, could persuade you to follow me across these graves. For you, I dreamed a star-flung spiral, deep field of cenotaphs. That book is going to be called Whale Garden, and it's about friendship and death and whales and cemeteries and a few other strange things all put together. I'm going to read two more poems. This one is called Frost Heaves, which I saw as a road sign, and I had never seen this sign before because, well, I don't drive also. That's another thing. So anyway, I saw this sign and I immediately thought, frost heaves what? It seems like it's missing a direct object. But turns out, no, it's a warning. Okay. Frost heaves. In another orbit, the rover uncovers the familiar, slow, unshowy power of water. It submits to change, sinks, draws more of itself upward, builds a billow below the scene. Ice bubbles the plains on Mars, just as it ripples New England roads, where a broken axle is a missing forest. The missing forest evidence of force, a refusal to tolerate the long way round, density, mystery. So the stranger and the landscape converge. Their surfaces break into each other. As you might be able to tell, I got sort of onto a space theme eventually. So I want to thank you all for coming before I read this last poem. And it's really lovely to see all of your faces. And thank you again, Dorian and David and Susanna. And I would also like to thank my friend Erin, who helped me with some Latin that allowed this poem to happen. It's called The Astronauts Hope to Be Translated Soon, which is a real phrase I heard on the television. Through a trick of old tongues called suppletion, translate can mean carried across, not language, but space. Say, the few feet from the astronauts' scorched capsule to waiting stretchers on this ship that seems too small to hold the ballooning relief of their recovery, their reclamation for the world. Just outside their window, scientists test the air for toxins, and megaphones warn away the hideous parade of flag-waving boats lurking off Florida's coast. As I gaze at the stubborn hatch, wondering if wait feels like a gift after months without, the word strikes me with delight, so unexpected, so apt. How could they? These humans separated from moons and comets by only glass and miles, who for a time lived free from seasons and nations, who, released from the probable into the possible, still elected to return. How could they, these star sailors, ever make themselves comprehensible to us again? Thank you again.
Thank you so much. That was great, Carolyn. I'm so pleased you could be here tonight. We will shortly move on to our open mic, but I just wanted to let everyone know that in March, we'll be back in Jamaica Plain the second Friday night for chapter and verse, and we will have Max Hennig and Vijay Sundaram. And I hope those of you who aren't too far away can come and join us. And I'll turn it over to you, David.
Okay. Thanks, Dory. And yeah, for Carolyn and Cate and Audrey, you've just made this great room, this great space, multi-dimensional virtual space that now our open mic readers can enter into. So we have 7 people signed up, and so I'll just call you one at a time. So we'll begin with Lenny De La Rocca. And be sure to unmute, of course, to speak.
Thanks, David. That was a fantastic reading. All 3 of you, Audrey, Cate, Carolyn. I was not familiar with your work, but I want to get more familiar with your work now after hearing you. And just fabulous, fabulous poetry. This is Afternoons with Ophelia. Not that Ophelia. But I often get inspired by reading, whether it's poetry or novels. And I've been reading the collected short stories of Catherine Mansfield, who I just discovered recently. And it was one of those things where I finished one of the stories. I got up, went to the desk, and wrote this poem last night. And I'm still tweaking it. Of course, it needs a little work here and there, but I'm kicking it around the edges. Anyway, Afternoons with Ophelia. More than that, she sits in her chair next to the window that keeps the storm on the other side. She is that chair, her head back, legs crossed like fingers at the end of a secret this side of rain. Ophelia with teacup. We're old friends and have been silent with each other a long time each time we sit together. I look past her mostly, and she leans toward the lamp, puts the cup on the table at her knees. She's a white dress. I pour another. By the time a new question comes out of me, one comes out of her. Mine, how is Jonathan since his father died? Hers, have you seen Jonathan since his father died? The tree's wild out there. Neither of us use sugar, but the packets lie next to 100 years of solitude. She tilts sometimes. She might topple. I'll get the lemon, I usually say, this long into thinking out loud. Jonathan hasn't been around since his father died. The lamp comes on, her umbrella slides down the wall and clacks the floor. I've always loved her green eyes. I kissed her once and told her. She said, She had her period and walked to English class with her hair up, involved herself with difficult authors. My tastes ran to mysteries, The Big Sleep. She came to my 14th birthday party dressed as Mrs. Dalloway. I wonder how birds fare in wind this bad. The woman is impossible to figure out. She runs a thumb across her lips, tilts forward, and crosses her legs the other way.
Thank you, Lenny. Thank you. Next, we have Tony Artuso.
Hi, hope you can hear me. I did unmute.
Yes.
Good. Since this is the eve of Valentine's Day, I have a romantic poem. It's called Rediscovery While Reenacting. It's for my wife. At the edge of our faux camp, I watch a dark woman lean into my tent. I frown. Typical tourist, barging in without asking. I see only her back, inky page boy, generous sable sweater, almost a mini dress, jet lace-up boots. Pretty nice, I admit. Impressed someone dressed up to visit a Civil War reenactment. As she turns, I startle. Your face is on her body. Then laugh, reassured that choosing again, I would still choose you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. That's wonderful for Valentine's Day. Yes. Next, we have Tom Daly.
First of all, thank you so much to the readers. That was exquisite in very different, but in some ways very resonant ways. This is called Sledding at Danahy Park. Last night at dusk, a gathering at Danahy. As I approached the top of the hill, sledders sculled like silhouettes in the muffled light. The day had torn the edges of the cloud cover. At a certain juncture there was moon. At a certain juncture the light was high episcopal and serene with a certain dowdiness. Then came my brave, insistent little man, my little man with the wet parka he insists is dry on the inside. Over and over again the children fly over the mound of snow somebody packed together. They ride the air, the track of nothing, heretics of gravity until they drop to earth. On their knees, supplicants of speed, in their plastic boats, the wind at their back like a cartoon benediction. My little man holds onto his sled as if it were a placard announcing pleasure or doom. He holds it sideways so that it can reveal its apostasies. He wants me to fly over the hump, hoping that I will bump my Cossacks. All day, this dusk has been assembling itself out of stagnant fronts and a variegated crudeness. A gaffer with his poles and gels could not have managed something more exquisite. That yellow, exhausted light bittering the horizon over the toy store. In a bulge that seems a reflection rather than a luminosity, the eastern sky is lit up as well, like charcoal before it turns white. We ride down the hill, rough as trombone music, the wind rattling our ears like wax paper. We ride to commemorate the instant, even as the instant is constantly thawing itself out of range of our commemorations. The children rush their sleds down the hill. They usually break themselves before the swamp. At the edge of the swamp, there is a litter of crying children, perturbed less at the shock and bruise of their jumps or tumbles, and more at the simple fact that the ride has ended. They practice themselves for the rude odors that will bubble up from their own meager finalities. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you. Next is Susanna Kittredge.
Hi, so Audrey's plumber poem made me think of this one that I wrote a few years ago. Ductless mini split heat pumps. There is only one possible place to put the compressor outside your condo. There are several options for where to put the compressor. The conduits will be 3 inches wide, and we will do our best to color match them to the siding. Adam from the loan department will be reaching out to you soon. The electrician needs to look at your panel. The electrician doesn't believe your panel is your whole panel. The electrician tells the quality control rep to tell you to send all the pictures of all the panels, even the ones that don't belong to your unit. Adam should be reaching out about that 0 interest loan sometime in the next 2 weeks. The scheduler's phone extension is mumble76. The operator doesn't know that scheduler. The operator leaves you on hold for 15 minutes while he tries to find the scheduler who left you a message. Adam will contact you about the loan. The compressor will need to be 5 feet to the right of where you told the HOA it would be, and that giant yew bush will have to go. The electrician wants to confirm that the pictures of the electrical panels are all the pictures of only your electrical panels. Adam will definitely be emailing you in the next few days. Your technicians will arrive between 7 and 9 a.m. Your technician will call you at 10 to say he can't find your door even though your unit number is on file and he was supposed to call your husband's phone. The conduits are 5 inches wide and stark white against the beige siding.
Thanks, Susanna. Yes, we here in our house we got compressor units as well. Oh goodness. Next is okay, Jack. I've known how to pronounce your last name, but I've forgotten it already. With my great apologies. So next is Jack, and please tell us your last name. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you so much for posting this, for to everyone that read so far, features and otherwise. This has been amazing. My last name is Jower, which nobody knows how to pronounce, so do not feel self-conscious. So I also have, I guess, a plumber adjacent poem that could possibly also be a Valentine's Day poem-ish. So it's called Heated. The boiler is broken, but the heating engineer is here to work his minor miracles in wire and steam. In the reddish pelt of beard smearing sunset across his pallid moon face, I see traces of another wolf, one I used to know but had long forgotten. With beveler and expander, he coaxes the sun through its steel-throated tubes, checks gauges and alignments, watches yellow-eyed for the signs of this's end. Once I desired a coyote who was also a fire stealer, and that was good for me because I am always cold. Sitting on the basement steps, I watch this new beast, watch the motorized pulse at the tip of his roller. I cannot operate his apparatus. I cannot live without the heat it brings. I'm no stranger to light bringing, but it's the warmth that always escapes me. Sometimes the shivers get bad enough to shake my bones in the night. Little seizures, I corset with the heat that normally threads easy veins through the walls. Once I stumbled into bed and was baffled in the morning to see a coyote sleeping next to me. There's something straining now at the seams of the world's cloth. I can taste the fire in a serious wave's whisper, the way I once tasted the smooth chill of stone behind the teeth of a red-pelted wolf I once desired. The end. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack. We have actually three more. Next is Stephen Pepper.
Thank you, David and all. And this is a much more domestic sounding poem, I have to say. A gift of aromatic lilies. Show-offs Suspended from sturdy stems well above the vase's lip, you splay your 6 conjoined tongues, smooth pink with a central double ridge, a spatter of freckles, your rude leer brilliantly defying the winter weather. And your smell, funeral parlor, sickly sweet, weighing down the entire apartment's air. After a day or two, I place you in the bedroom where I'm in and out through the day and unconscious at night. You persist, unchanging, day after day, reminding me of the friend who generously left you for my delight while he cavorts on Costa Rican beaches. But then, more than a week in, a single tongue begins to brown and wrinkle. Soon I find the entire bloom prostrate on the floor, though the stamens still stand erect, bearing their precious staining orange pollen, now sadly wasted. The other 4 blossoms bravely carrying on, denying entropy. I prune withered leaves, remove one stem. How long before the rest succumb? Together, we've made it past the midnight hoopla of New Year's Eve. Now, watching the snow squalls obscure the city, we hear and heed the old refrain, one day at a time.
Thank you, Stephen.
You are welcome.
As we say, penultimate reader, I will jump in, and then there'll be one more after me. Nothing unusual. The what's news requires me to imagine that some of us each morning ask, why am I still living? I don't ask that question, please, no, although there I've written it, but no, it's in another person's voice. Whose? If that abstraction, the other person, is someone I in fact know, please tell me who you are. I won't presume to answer the question for you. I'm not that wise. If we meet eyes, we might also sit at a wooden table. We could bend our talk toward not the physiology of it, why our hearts have not stopped, but a revived vision. Mine might clarify between the final finger press of snooze alarm and my first look at a full coffee mug before tasting. Then, if my mind and I belong together, I remember the ones harvesting beans, dairy cattle and their humans, designers of mugs, and drivers of trucks who bring all these things to where I can buy them, and everyone who shelters all these goods with shelves and buildings and doorways. Who of all these mistrusts their lives? They surround me as I sit here, mostly awake. Thank you. And we'll end with Alan Smith.
Thank you. Thank you very much. In our vicinity, lights drifted down dark water on yellow leaves. Near the edge, under the shadowed ferns, the large eyes of the lion, the large eyes of the zebra.
Thank you, Alan. Well, in a minute, we can all unmute and applaud and give general hoopla and comments. Before we do that, does anyone have any announcements they'd like to make about upcoming events? So, unmute yourself and tell us. Yeah, just Tom. Tom Dingley.
2 things I want to mention. One is on Friday, February 27th, the Poetry Salon of Boston, which is online, features Ben Bellett. Ben is a poet who went to West Point and then served in Afghanistan, had no interest in poetry, but one day somebody gave him a poem by Auden, and then he just was completely transformed. He has a chapbook out with these amazing poems. And then in Cambridge on March 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th, this, of course, AWP dates, but if you're not going to AWP, there's a wonderful dance program with poetry that's been choreographed in a really remarkable way. It's called Origami Night, and it's at Arrow Street Art. You can contact me in the chat if you want more information about that. Thank you.
Thanks, Tom. Any other announcements anybody have? We probably just speak because I can't see everyone all at once. No, perhaps not. All right, why don't we all unmute and like audibly applaud and comment, and I'll put the links to their books back in the chat again. There we are.